Hello and welcome back to Aquaria. This is part 4. We just finished the Energy Temple and now we're heading back into home waters to do a little bit of
swimming,
clean up.
Hi, this is Gibby.
Oh yeah, he's Gibby. I'm Breadmaster.
Yes.
Yeah, so today we'll be going back through most of the home area and picking up stuff that we couldn't get to before, or I just missed or something.
Because we got sweet new powers. Mainly, death lasers.
It's kind of weird thinking of the verbs of video games and how games allow you to interact with the world.
Which, the way this game allows you to interact with the world's pretty interesting. Just because, you have these song powers, basically, because you can sing, so, I don't know, it's kind of neat. As you're demonstrating the destructive powers of Nyjah.
And the energy farm, yep. There is one treasure in the sanctuary, or the hidden sanctuary, I think it's called, the starting area we were in. And you need the Bind Song to get it. So this is the only time I'll ever go back there.
Got it. Just looking through, there's not really much to talk about here since we're going over stuff that, we've already seen.
Yep.
Kind of yeah, caves.
Using speed soup to go fast.
Yeah, you can have speed soup. Wow, you actually go quite a bit faster with that.
Yeah.
So considering that I never got energy form, as far as I remember, I did not get very far in this game at all.
No, you probably didn't even play more than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because technically we're still in the first hour. Although, to be fair, we're in the first hour, but I know what I'm doing and where I'm going.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. It's kind of like any game that you first start playing. What was it? I think it was some SMT game. Shin Megumi Tensei, for those who don't play those.
There it is.
Aha.
It's a big seed.
Yes.
What about the SMT games?
When first starting to play those, going through the first area and stuff, I put in 8 hours.
You played the original, the first one?
No, this was SMT4.
No.
And first area, I spent about 8 hours, and then I realized I was doing everything wrong. So I was kind of man, I could have done this way better.
But the game never told you how?
Yeah, and then I figured out later, and then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna restart. And I got to that same point within 2 hours.
Yeah, that seems kind of typical of JRPGs like SMT.
Yeah.
Where you have to flail for 10 hours to figure out how to actually play optimally. And at that point, you might as well go back and start over.
Well, it was also, it's I, wasted all of my time on, this one demon or, this one thing. And then you realize that it's useless and not gonna do anything for you. So you're like, wait, I shouldn't do that. So then you go back and you're like, I should just focus on this monster. But
And that was kind of my experience with the original Etrian Odyssey. I get to like the final stratum of the game, and then I realize, oh, all my skills and stuff are all horribly optimized. And if I wanted to do this all over again, it would take me 50 hours. And then I put down the game.
Yeah. Well, it's surprising how fast it goes, and this is big with, I'll say JRPGs and, well, RPGs in general. When you know what is being said and you don't need to know the story because you already know it.
You just jam on the button.
Yeah, and so much time is spent reading, and it's not like saying that that's not valuable. Like,
but if you know what's already being said,
yeah, it's kind of like, reading through Harry Potter, and like after about the third time reading Harry Potter, you realize you're like, I can skip these chapters that I don't really care about.
I never actually went back. Oh, hello.
Oh, whoa.
This is the first optional boss in the game. You don't actually have to come into this room and fight this big Nautilus.
So most optional bosses are typically super difficult. So
this isn't.
How would you say this fares?
I wouldn't say this is difficult, or that difficult. At least not Nautilus Prime here. Although I do get low on health several times and need to spend some time cooking food and eating.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I remember of the last time I played through the game, none of the optional bosses are really too difficult. There's only one that I would consider harder than the rest, which we'll see later on.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not. I don't think any of the boss fights in this game are particularly frustrating or hard. Some can be long, but that might be just how they're set up.
Yeah.
Nautilus Prime here takes longer than the Energy Temple boss, just because you can only hit the tentacles to do damage, and he's always spinning, so it can be.
See. Yeah, and I realize that you're swimming in the way he's spinning.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, of course, as you're watching something afterwards, you're like,
I could have done that better.
Yeah. Hold on, boss.
I gotta wrap this.
Let me cook.
What I really should have done was stopped by the kitchen in Nigel's home and made a lot of good stuff, like the spicy rolls, so I could just do a lot of damage faster.
Oh man.
I think one thing that
quickly cooking them leaves.
Yeah, the one guess nitpick about the cooking system I would have is that there's this just half a second or 2 second delay when you click cook and then you have the actual thing. Like it has to do the animation for it.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't, when you're doing one thing at a time, it's not that noticeable, but if you're trying to make a lot of food at once, it can get kind of distracting. It's like the smallest of nitpicks, but
well, I mean, and that's valid. There's a lot of games where it's like, okay, there's a tiny little thing that, because players do it, repetitiously.
That's the only way you find out. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh man,
we steal its baby.
This was. Oh my goodness.
There are 4 pets in the game.
Hello, child. I killed your mom and dad. And/or dad.
Yeah, so the pet Nautilus here follows us around and will throw itself at enemies to deal damage.
So you have a martyr pet.
Well, it can't get hurt itself. Its attack is charging at them, so.
Got it.
What were we saying about minor nitpicks?
The fact that there are animations that slow things down, and it's usually found on things that are repeated a lot, kind of like and there are some games where obviously it's skippable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the worst, it's like, okay, the majority is skippable, but this other tiny bit is not skippable.
And it's super obvious.
And you're just like, aw, man. But
there are very few things that, if I had any sort of time-traveling powers, that I would change about Aquaria. Making the cooking animation... Whoa, where do you come from? He just phased through the walls to get to us.
We call that a grudge.
There's very few things I would change about this game, and the cooking animation is probably...
just the main one?
Yeah. At least that I've remembered 7 years after I finished this game. I might find more. Who knows? But here is a side path into the energy temple that we couldn't get to. And there's treasure.
Uh-huh. There's always treasure in underwater things.
Yeah. There's still stuff we'll need to come back for once we get new powers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say like video 7, maybe 8. If I've mapped everything out right in my head.
Mm-hmm. So, would you say that Aquaria, like, one of its taglines could be, the water level doesn't suck?
Not every water level in a game sucks.
There's a lot of them that do, though.
Yeah. So here's our
It's
first
like,
outfit.
oh man, the underwater area. Gah.
I'm trying to think of good underwater level areas now. What about the underwater level stuff in Majora's Mask?
I haven't played Majora's Mask.
Me neither.
So.
I'm just trying to find something. I can't attest to its quality. But yeah, here's the Crotite armor.
I mean, I've played the, water temple in
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time. And honestly, granted, I didn't play the original water level.
Did you
Water
play the
temple.
DS remake? Or the 3DS?
Yeah, the 3DS remake, which apparently they added some, quality of life things.
Mm. So, the Crotite armor is our first outfit treasure we can find. It doesn't do anything except change how
really cool.
Nigel looks. But we'll find other outfits later on that have special properties.
Like, it doesn't give, like, more armor or anything?
No.
Like, nothing?
Nope.
Dang.
There are outfits that do actually have armor.
I would have thought that,
Armor in the name.
yeah, would have some sort of, like, hey, now you can take at least an extra hit, or
Something.
what have you. Yeah.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly, there are more outfits that have special properties than those that don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's... all I can... If I'm remembering correctly, there's like only 2 that do nothing but change how she looks. But it does look... It's a nice change of pace, at least. I keep it on for at least the next 2 videos, I think.
Alright.
I think once we get more, I'll either leave it up to the thread or you to decide which ones I wear for which videos.
You must always wear... I don't know.
You don't even know what's in store.
Yeah, I don't. I can't even make a funny joke.
You know, it's weird. For a game that won... Oh no, I forgot the name of the award that it won. That Aquaria got in 2007. Oh, this is gonna bother me. Oh, fast travel system. Ancient Turtles.
Sweet.
Once we find the second one, we can use it to warp back here at any time. Now, this is pretty much all of Home Waters, except those 2 caves that you can see on the map. Those 2 caves are the way that we leave, and I'll show that in the next video. But we're gonna go back to Nisha's home to check out the treasures in there.
Oh, in 2007, it won the main Independent Games Festival Award.
I thought there was another one.
Let's see.
I mean, what I was saying was, for a game that won several awards in... Would you say 2007 is like the early heyday of indie gaming?
Nah, I wouldn't. I don't know enough about indie games and the indie game scene to
define an era.
Try and define an era.
As a Jelly Lantern.
Besides, I feel like it would be much earlier.
The era would have started
I would
earlier.
call it a resurgence.
Yeah. So Napping doesn't have any more visions now, because we went to the 2 places in the vision.
Yeah, it got pretty good reviews.
Oh, don't spoil your stuff now.
Like, I mean, it scored like 7, 8, and 9.
Oh, those
out of 10.
Those purple stuff down there is what grows when we plant the big seed. I remember in Super Meat Boy that you could unlock and play as Nisha, and she had a charge sort of leap that you could use to get through Meat Boy levels, but it was really finicky. And I'm trying to think of, because like Super Meat Boy is one example I would use of where like indie game creators share their characters as like fun Easter eggs and stuff. But that's the only one Nisha shows up in. She doesn't appear in any other game.
Well, I think part of that would be... When did Super Meat Boy come out?
Not too long after... I think 2010? 2009? Because we were in freshman year.
That's true.
Anyway, we'll think about that later on, but...
Let's not date ourselves.
Yeah, this is the end of the video. Goodbye!